Welcome to the Unproductive podcast. It's episode 7. Hello, I'm Tyler.
Hey, I'm Erik.
I'm Isaac.
We're doing something a bit different today. We're gonna forego the articles, where that's gonna be its own separate thing now. The Unproductive News Network. So basically, CNN. Fake news.
The Unproductive Network, UPN.
Yeah.
If only.
Okay. So we're going to talk about difficulty in video games, a bunch of different aspects of it, and we're just going to have a little discussion about it.
Yeah. Dark Souls sucks.
Yep, it's shit.
Oh.
Does anybody have something they want to lead with?
I don't think so. Other than the fact that some games do it better than others.
Well,
Okay,
yeah.
what's a game where you really enjoyed like the difficulty or the difficulty options or the way they implement difficulty?
I like it where, I think I kind of like it in Persona 4, where if you play it on beginner or whatever, they give you, insta-revive items.
Yeah.
A limited amount that you can't get in, like, normal or... I like it when it's that, where they give you an item, like, right out the gate that, like, revives you. They don't change, really, anything, like, much else.
Well, the enemies are nerfed.
Oh, well, yeah.
But
Other
that's,
than that.
in a JRPG especially, that's one of the easiest ways to, like, since usually the only thing you can do with difficulty is change stats. I guess you could change some AI patterns, but...
Yeah.
And I think on the harder difficulties, they will hit your weaknesses more often, but...
Oh, yeah.
It makes sense that to compensate for the difficulty, you do something else besides just mess with the enemies, especially in a JRPG.
Right. I guess it's also kind of like with Pokemon, where it's basically baby mode, and then you have Dark Souls, which is like, we'll get good.
Well,
Dark Souls is a
we
little
can
bit
talk
different.
about Dark Souls. When we got to like difficulty options, I was going to talk about Dark Souls, but I guess I can just mention it now. I mean, it is a hard game, but it also
You make it as hard as you want it to
you can affect the difficulty based on the easiest example is kindling your bonfire, which is completely optional. But you can do it up to 20.
Fucking do it.
Yeah.
Because
If you need the help, then go for it.
fuck that.
Well, I don't need the help.
Well,
bitch.
becoming human too and getting help.
Well, becoming but
Yeah.
that also comes at a price, so it's also its own cost.
It has its,
Yeah.
risk and reward is basically the whole game of...
And there's also, you always have the option to, you might not know this at first, but you always have the option to switch to like a way easier type of build.
Yeah.
Like, rely heavy on magic.
Dexterity and pyromancy is normally the way to go for an easier build.
The easiest build is fucking just straight mage. That
Yeah.
will crush everything in the game except Seath.
Yep.
So,
Because, like, they fixed this in the second game where, like, bosses do not understand that you can just stand there and shoot them all day. And they will stand there and take it. And then in 2, they fixed it where, like, bosses have unrollable stingers. Where they're, like, across the boss room, and they just, like, speed, like, Sonic over to you and stab you in the fucking face.
Well, the Pursuer has one of those, but, like, the only way to beat him is, like, hit him with the fucking... Dark Souls 2 is a lot of a worse game in comparison to the first one.
well, there's actually like there's not more difficulty options, but there's like different ones. There's
multiple
using
enemies.
bonfire aesthetics
Yeah.
By making it harder.
or playing in the Covenant of Champions.
Yep.
So it's got its own set of unique options to affect.
Yeah, it's got its own rules.
So I do understand why some people have like talked about they want a difficulty select system in Dark Souls, and I understand where they're coming from. But those people usually don't understand that you can't affect the difficulty in that way.
Right.
Usually because a lot of people who are into the series will talk about like how hard it is, and like that's what they brag about is how hard the game is. And so
It's a good hard. It's a fair hard.
well, yeah.
Yeah.
Except in 2, when they just decided, oh, it's hard when you have a million enemies. Let's just put a million
there's
enemies.
moments where, I mean, there's all
The first one, yeah,
they all
does
have
that.
moments where they're unfair.
Well, yeah.
I wouldn't say it's completely fair, but
Like, if
But-
you want to take like less damage, then you put on either heavier armor or you use a better shield.
yeah,
Right.
you have options to affect the difficulty, but people don't stress that. So people say, well, I want an easy mode because it's just too hard for me, and nobody tells them,
Hey.
do this, this, and this, and we'll make the game a lot easier so you can enjoy it more.
Yeah.
But without losing the aspects without losing the aspects that make the game fun to like conquer the bosses and stuff. What I was going to say for my game that I really enjoy the difficulty options in is Devil May Cry.
Really?
Yes. Usually on the higher difficulties. It's almost like they balance the game around the harder difficulties. And then like take things away to make it easier. Like the way... Usually the entire enemy placement is different. Enemies are in different areas and they're in harder patterns. I mean, you obviously take more hits. You take less hits to die, and everything takes more hits to kill. And usually every enemy can use Devil Trigger like Dante if you don't kill him fast enough.
Cool.
Yeah. So it's obvious that they put a lot of work into making sure that the harder difficulties are fun and different. And worth playing. Like most people will say, the game's not really over when you beat normal. The game's over when you are able to beat Dante Must Die, because it seems like that's what they really wanted you to go for. And a lot of those character action games are based around replayability anyway.
Well, yeah. Gotta get those combos.
Do you have one?
I don't know. Playing Diablo makes it like, it's a weird thing to like see difficulty like rise. Like it tells you to beat the game before you play it on harder difficulties, which is weird for me because like I've never like played those games before. That's the weirdest I've ever seen.
There's like when you start up Diablo 3, there's like normal, hard, and like torment, and then it's like
torment like
it's like
start
hard or torment if you have gear already, and you usually don't if you're starting a brand new character.
Okay.
Because you can like switch, or when you roll over to a new game, you can change the difficulty. Because there's different, like the second playthrough is like hell mode, right?
Yeah.
And everything's harder, but there's also difficulty levels that further affect it. And then there's even more. There's like torment 1 through 5. So you can go up to, and you get more experience and shit too.
Okay, that makes sense.
And
now.
usually games of that type also have a hardcore mode, which is nice, where you permanently die. Yeah. A lot of people like that. So.
Right. I do. What do you think about being able to change difficulty mid game? Because I like that. Where like
I usually like it. It just depends.
I like it in Skyrim.
Yeah.
Where like I'm just blowing through stuff today. I want a bit more of a challenge. I'll put up the difficulty, I guess.
But if I was not to switch the topic yet, but I do want to talk about how Bethesda games basically have the worst difficulty options.
Oh yeah.
But we'll get to it. Yeah. But yeah, I don't mind. Like Isaac and I have been playing Nier Automata, and it's like really, once you get to a certain point, it's really easy. But if you start it on hard, it will like you'll get 1 or 2 shotted. So I'm glad that you can switch the difficulty. I didn't really take advantage of it. I should have. That when the game gets too easy, turn it up.
Very hard. Very hard gives you no choice. Like you either get one shot, you get one shot, and then that's it. Yeah, because people want that. There's those usually in mode like Bayonetta, the final mode, like the hardest mode. You get like 1 shot, I think, and you don't have the witch time that slows down time when you dodge.
Cool.
Yeah.
I like that when developers throw that in. Like, hey, yeah, let's just throw in a mode that. Well, might as well just call it "fuck you."
Yeah.
The fuck you mode.
Somebody's gonna do it. The fucking is it God Hand difficulty in God Hand? Where you have to wear the sign the whole game or whatever.
I don't know.
Yeah, you get like 1 shot.
I mean, cool, but I mean, I don't really know too much about like a lot of other games because I'm mostly play like RPGs and stuff, and I just go, hey, let's just play normal, I guess. Because like I'm not one of those people who goes, let me speedrun this game on hard so I can do this, and this. Oh, I generally play a game once and I go, yeah, all right. But if it's like a good game, I'm like, oh, let me play it again.
That's kind of how I am on Kingdom Hearts. I usually play on the hardest difficulty, but most of the time, like difficulty options are fine. They usually just change like the stats around. Yeah, but Kingdom Hearts 2 specifically, once you play on, there's 4 difficulty modes. There's like beginner, standard, then proud, and then critical. And usually you're like between beginner, standard, and proud. Like you do less damage the harder it is, and you take more damage. On a critical, they turn down your experience to 75%. They turn up your damage to 125%. You get half as much health, and they start you off with like 30 abilities that you normally have to get through leveling up. So the way it's designed is like it's almost easier than Proud, to be honest, because you have that damage boost, and the experience stuff doesn't really matter that much in the end. And honestly, the game's a lot more fun to play. That's when you really can like take advantage of the systems. So
okay.
Most of the other games, the critical difficulty mode isn't that great, but that game is one that does it really well, mostly because of like how enemy damage scales and stuff. So
Okay. I think a game that does it pretty good is Fury, where you can play it on like the easiest difficulty, but you don't get trophies in it or anything for it. Yeah. And then like the harder difficulties you get trophies and stuff. I think that's kind of a good way to go about it. Is in like, oh, let me do my first playthrough, especially with Fury because it's not a long game.
Yeah.
Let me just do it. My first run is easy, and then like, oh, I'll get good at the game, and then go with the harder difficulties to like, let's get my trophies now.
Also, something that Dark Souls that we didn't mention is a really good New Game Plus where stuff scales up.
Yeah.
Exponentially.
You can do New Game Plus like 100 and shit.
You can do it as many times as you want. It stops going up after like 6
or 7.
Yeah, but that's still nice that's there if you want to keep playing your same character.
Right.
And the game will get harder, like marginally every time, but
yeah. Well, they kind of do that with Borderlands though too, but you can only play that like 3 times.
Definitely. You can replay it, but it doesn't go up anymore.
Yeah.
And I know Dark Souls 2 has a lot of stuff that's different in New Game Plus, but that's kind of a different topic.
Yeah.
But Ocarina of Time, the GameCube version and the 3DS version have Master Quest. And what Master Quest is it
flips everything around
and mirrors the world, so it like fucks with your how used you are to getting around the world. You take double damage, and all the dungeons are different, and they're harder, but like in a good way, because they expect, especially in the 3DS version, since you have to beat the normal mode to unlock the Master Quest, they know that you have like been good enough to get the mechanics and the puzzle types of the normal game, so now they can like test you in different ways, and the dungeons are a lot more interesting that way.
Oh, okay.
So that's a good way to. I mean, they basically redesign, half to 2/3 of the game to take advantage of you having a lot of knowledge that you didn't have the first time. So that's really useful.
That's probably not a bad way to do it.
No, not at all.
What do you think about like in Silent Hill where you can change the difficulty of the game and the puzzles?
That's nice, but
That's
I mean
kind
the problem with those is like specific to those where it's just like the puzzles are like super obtuse a lot of the time if you turn them all the way up.
Okay.
But I mean, I like the option because maybe someone hates the combat, but they really like the puzzle, so they want to turn it down so the combat's easy, and they want to turn the puzzles up because that's what they get out of it. They want to be scared and they want to fucking...
Right.
But it just depends on the person. I like the option. I think options are good generally, so...
Okay. Kind of a side note to that, but just because something I want to mention. I think it's one of the Silent Hill games you can actually call the Konami helpline, and they're like, "Oh, we see you're in Silent Hill. Have fun." Click.
I think it's Origins.
Like that. Like fuck you, man.
That's pretty funny.
I mean, yeah, it's a neat little thing you can do, but like, it's like really. We see you're in Silent Hill. We can't help you.
Metal Gear, I think, just Solid 2 and 3 both have European Extreme. Difficulty, is like, if you get spotted, you lose and you have no radar.
Oh my god.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy, but it's also, I mean, it's a lot of fun to play. It totally changes the way you play the game just because, especially in 2 and the first Metal Gear Solid, the radar is so good that you spend a lot of time just staring at the radar. That's not really a problem in 3.
Right.
But it's still an interesting way to do it.
Yeah.
And like I said, the option is there. You never have to do it. So
right.
I'm just glad for the option.
What do you think about endings being blocked behind difficulty settings?
That's a nice incentive to like get someone playing harder difficulties, but I think that's not as good though, because like that'll just basically
it depends on how important it is.
Yeah.
If it's a very story heavy game,
like true ending of the game is hidden behind a difficulty wall. I'm
not really in favor of it. To bring up Kingdom Hearts again, something they do is there's usually a secret ending based on how much like of the side material you do and how many side quests and how much of the arena or whatever that's in that specific game.
Yeah.
But the harder difficulty you play on, the easier it is to unlock. So like if you play on beginner in a game, you might have to do literally every side thing you can do in the game to unlock the secret ending. But if you play on the hardest difficulty, all you gotta do is beat the game.
Right.
Which is, I like that method of doing it. And the secret endings are usually, they're very interesting parts of the story, but they're usually just like teasers for the upcoming games. But I mean, hiding a true...
for 2.875
Yeah, that's a whole...
HD remix.
Whenever we play or talk about Kingdom Hearts, we can go on about the fucking titles, but...
Man, how do you fuck that up so bad, man?
You kind of just get used to it. And
Crystal blue water.
You just revel in the fucking hilarity
magic,
of it.
like what? Mickey Mouse Extreme, like what?
Mickey Mouse Extreme difficulty. Disneyland worker difficulty.
Mascot difficulty.
But I don't know about what's a game. Is there a game that you know that does that specifically? That comes to
not
mind?
offhand. Not offhand. I'd have to look it up, but I know there. I'm pretty sure there are a few games that do that. I think they're like.
I mean, there's stuff like
Japanese games.
I mean, there's stuff like some JRPGs. Like I'm looking at the Persona board. There's some like in Persona.
Fucking the Persona board.
When you get to, if you want to get the truest ending, you have to go through the hardest part of the game. But that is not really based on your difficulty level.
Right.
So.
I mean, yeah. What do you think about games without a difficulty setting, but you can do challenge mode for like you can do an optional like challenge mode where like the 3-heart run in Zelda and stuff.
I mean, I like those
Okay.
generally. So, I mean,
That's just
ideally you should design your game. I mean, not every game, but it's always very nice when you design a game that is open to speedrunners and is open to some level of optional interaction with the game that allows you to do stuff like that. So
Okay.
while a lot of JRPGs don't have those options, a lot of people like to play JRPGs with those restrictions on them, especially stuff like Final Fantasy, which is super easy. Every game, for the most part, is really easy, so people love to...
I don't remember. Did Final Fantasy VII even have a difficulty setting?
No, it does not. You can
No, I didn't think so.
It even includes... What do you guys think about, like... A lot of those Final Fantasy ports have, like, cheats in them, where you can get infinite gil, like, perfect stats, unlock all the weapons and stuff.
If you've played the game before,
You don't have to do the game to do it.
I mean, like, but like just in like from a personal stance of like,
Okay.
I've already played FF7. Let's play it again, but do this, and this.
Yeah,
like,
I don't really have a problem with them. I don't use them.
Like, I don't care if that's what you want to do. Who am I to tell you what you can and can't do in a game?
Yeah.
I mean, shit, I looked up cheats as a kid.
Yeah.
I mean, why not?
I mean, I use a walkthrough when I need one, so.
Yeah.
I don't feel bad about it.
I mean, shit, I look stuff up in Pokemon all the time.
I don't got time to fucking...
I had to do the fucking, the audio puzzle in, Moon today.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't play with the fucking sound on. Who the fuck plays with the sound on?
I played the sound on.
That's weird.
At least to hear the song. Like, if I've heard the song already.
So I'm like...
I usually play with low volume and then something in the background. Like, I'll listen to music or I'll listen to, like...
Well,
whatever.
I just turn my sound off because I normally have, like, headphones or something on, so I'm like, fuck it, I don't care. And I'm generally, the music in Pokemon is not that great. So I'm like, gotta do an audio puzzle? Man, fuck this. I just looked it up on GameFAQs. I'm like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Like, fuck it.
No, but I like when games have that level of... It's back to that optional amount of difficulty you can impose on yourself.
Right, like a Nuzlocke run in Pokemon and stuff.
Exactly.
I think...
it is kind of sad that that's not built into the game more. You kind of have to, like, be in the community or kind of be familiar with the game to figure it out.
Pokemon's like baby's first RPG, though, so I'm not surprised.
I know, but, like, think about if there was a Nuzlocke, you know?
Right. Yeah, what do you think about items that are, like, affect the difficulty? Or, like, rings or something. Like, there's rings in Dark Souls. In Dark Souls 2, at least, where, like, it absorbs souls instead of you do. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, those are fine. It's another level of challenge, like the Calamity Ring in Dark Souls 1 when you beat Calamite. You take double damage.
Yeah.
That's fine with me.
Yeah, it's just...
I enjoy those, to be honest, because if you ever want to use it, it's there.
Right. It's just, it's that optional thing, I guess, again.
And it's like, most people consider Calamite to be the hardest boss, or one of the hardest bosses, at least. He's supposed to be like the super boss. He's the hardest boss of the DLC. So, when you beat him, it's kind of funny that you don't get a reward because on it you probably don't need it. You get a ring to make the game harder.
Right. And I mean, shit, Manus was hard enough.
Yeah.
How many tries did it take to beat him?
It took 10 times because one time you fucking fell off at the entrance of the door.
Oh, yeah, that was, yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, does that even count?
But yeah, I mean, I think they could. A lot of the times, you could build those challenges more into the game a little bit.
Yeah,
but it just goes to the. I
Like
sometimes like how it's. I like the optional part of difficulty. I normally don't like being forced to like choose like easy, normal, or difficulty because I feel like I'm not that good at at a game for easy. And some games like have the weird difficulty meter, like Dragon's Dogma has like easy and then normal. But like before the DLC came out, it was just easy and normal. So like normal was like 1.5 times the damage, like nothing like really too difficult or anything like that.
Yep.
But then it was just like
What
easy.
do they add hard?
They added hard mode, which is just basically a double of everything. So it wasn't even that good of a difficulty.
No, it's just turning up some dials that should have
Yeah.
been in the game, or they should have patched it.
what do you guys think about like games who name their difficulty meters, like in Call of Duty games or whatever, or like in like military shooters? It's like
Veteran or something.
private, corporal, sergeant.
I mean, I like it.
I think it's neat.
It's back to fucking Devil May Cry again when it's like normal, hard,
Dante must die.
Dante must die,
Nightmare.
God Killer, or whatever.
Right. I like as long as the names are like fit with the game. Like sometimes it's boring to see easy, normal, hard.
Fucking Doom has it. I can't even remember what they're called, but they're fucking awesome.
The ones in Wolfenstein are like, they like make fun. Like, what do you think about ones that make fun of you for picking them?
That's
like-
nice.
Pussy.
It's like, oh, you're gonna pick this, huh, you baby? Huh? Like the one in Wolfenstein, like Blazkowicz gets like a pacifier and a. It's like, really?
Well, that just kind of goes to show you that, like, some of the options kind of, like, being forced to choose a difficulty kind of sucks because, like, either, like, you don't get the full experience or you just get, like, you just get absolutely fucked by some things that are normal because I think when I played Skyrim a lot of times, like, I felt like I was sucking absolute dick, but I didn't want to play on easy because, like one chop.
Do you want to talk about Bethesda difficulty now? Because
I do. I have one more thing to say.
okay.
I hate when games lie to me about their difficulty, where their easy mode is basically just normal, their normal's hard, and then their hard is like their nightmare mode.
I hate it when the fucking difficulty is different between the region. That happened more in older games where, like, Final Fantasy IV, the version we got was the Japanese easy mode.
What?
Or, like, Devil May Cry 3, the original version, the version we got was Japan's hard mode.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, but we didn't get normal. They had normal, we didn't get it.
Well, that just goes to show you that, like, you really don't know, like, what, like, easy could be, like, kick your ass, and then, like, normal could be, like, even harder.
Depending on the game, yeah.
And then, that's just my pet peeve when it comes to those kind of things, because, like, I literally just had to look up what fucking hard mode was in Dragon's Dogma, because I had no idea what it did. And it was basically just a dial turn.
I kind of going back to Dark Souls. I have heard it said that the easy mode is just you get a map. It's just a map of an area. Don't mess with the enemies. Don't mess with enemy placement.
Well, I mean, I think it depends on what you find hard. That makes sense to me.
But I mean, if you can get through the area better, you still have to face the boss and stuff. But just
I know, but
with a map, make it like, or just like a compass, whatever. I could deal with a compass.
I mean, that would be a way I could see a game like that implementing a difficulty option.
Yeah.
You know, is at the beginning you pick an item, like you pick the map,
Right.
you know, or something like that.
The map.
Well, like,
Yeah.
even the easy mode is, like, getting the master key, and then just unlocking a lot of things, because, like,
Yeah,
the hardest part of the game
Yeah.
is finding the things you
kind
need.
of. If you don't know what you're doing and you pick the master key, you're more likely to fuck yourself up, though. I think, because you like can immediately get to Blighttown, you can immediately get to Darkroot Basin, or shit like that.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't think that's too bad of an idea.
No, I like that it's in there, but I don't know if it really is an easy option for a new player, because the way that game specifically railroads you and gets you to go where it wants you to go is through its level design. So if you have a master key that like disrupts that, then it can fuck up somebody. If you played the game, then I mean, people pick the fucking master key every time, unless it's like they're just going out of their way not to pick it because it's the only good item on the list.
Right. Nah, man, that pendant, the best one.
Use that pendant.
You can't.
There's been so much shit around that pendant. I swear to God, I've never seen so much news. Like, what does it do? And they've even asked the creator, like, what does it do? And he just like sits there and laughs.
Miyazaki just laughs in your fucking face. Nothing.
He knows that people ain't gonna fucking argue about it. But before we can talk about Bethesda difficulty, I was kind of gonna go back to optional stuff too.
Well, we can do that. We can do optional stuff.
Okay.
Yeah,
Let's save that before.
Back to those Final Fantasy games, like starting with like 6 especially, and onward.
Yeah.
They made the games a lot easier. But that's also when they started including hard as fucking shit optional bosses.
Okay.
Which is a nice compromise. I think the only problem that usually comes with it is that a lot of the time the final boss just ends up being a fucking piece of cake. Like in Final Fantasy VI, like, while the story's building up and you fight, like, Kefka as, like, the strongest being, and you can, like, if you are decent at the game, you can fucking take him down in, like, 3 turns.
Cool.
Which kind of sucks.
Yeah, it's whatever.
Well, I wish you had to, like, go out of your way to, like, grind or something to do it, you know what I mean? But there is the optional stuff there that is hard if you want it.
Right.
But then there's, like, 7 does it well. They have 2 really good optional bosses that are, like, test different aspects of your knowledge about the game. Like, Emerald's like a DPS check, and Ruby's like, you gotta plan out a detailed strategy.
Sounds boring.
It's not, dude. That's my favorite part of most RPGs is doing the optional stuff. Yeah,
I just mean, like,
Optional stuff.
let me write out this detailed plan of how to.
You either look it up and then prepare to do it yourself, or you play it and then you're like, well, I'm dying because of this, so how do I stop this? It's a fun.
Okay.
I mean, it's a fun process where the rest of the game is literally just hold X.
Right. Yeah.
The game, all of those games have, well, most of the games anyway. I won't say all. Like Final Fantasy VII has a very in-depth like materia system and how the equipment interacts with the characters and the different limit breaks do different stuff. But none of that is ever tested in the actual game, so it's nice that there is optional content. And of course, people make mods and stuff, but that's a whole different.
Right. What do they do in 13 for that? Like, what optional stuff is there in 13?
There's probably like 15 hours of those side quest hunts.
Ew.
In the big area. Some of them are fun, but a lot of them are just like, go grind.
Well, I know in 15 there's like this giant mountain turtle.
Yeah,
well, in 13 there was
the arena, which was a
lot.
lot better designed. You didn't have to really grind for it. But in 15, I've been playing 15. I'm not to the fucking mountain turtle, but it seems like it's kind of like they just tried to make a damage sponge boss again, kind of like in Final Fantasy 12. There's a boss that takes like 7 hours to beat. It's not hard. You can leave and save and then come back and fight it because it has so much health.
It's just the vault monster from Borderlands 1.
Yeah.
Gross.
But like then there's stuff like 10, which has a very like in-depth leveling system and equipment creation system and stuff where you can use it to make the game really easy, or you can limit yourself to make it hard, which people really like to do. And then there's all this optional stuff, all this optional monster arena stuff. But the problem is you have to grind so much to do some of it that it really sucks. Okay. So the optional content is there, but like you have to go capture this many of every monster in the game, and then you gotta fight the first 10 monsters in the monster arena, and then you gotta grind those for items to level yourself up enough to fight the next monsters, and it's just a hassle. I like the idea, but the execution is a little bit messed up.
Yeah, it's bad. It's bad.
I mean, and it's fun to do the one time, but I don't know if I'll ever do it again. Just because. Okay. I mean, I did do it once, and it was fun, but I had a lot more fun when I no sphere gridded the game after that than I did spending 30 hours grinding everything.
Right. So. I don't know. 7's the only Final Fantasy game I've actually like beat. I played 13 for like 5 hours.
And we didn't do the optional stuff. So.
No, we didn't. Didn't we go against Emerald Weapon like once?
I think I went against it just so I would get creamed, but
yeah,
you kind of have to like level up to like 70-ish.
Yeah,
and get a bunch of good items and stuff like that.
Right.
All right. So, but anything about optional difficulty you guys want to talk about at the moment?
I don't know. I'm really a big fan of like the hard code stuff, like with the Diablo like hell mode, where like your character dies automatically. Yeah. I like that shit because it's like
I never do it because I have no balls, but
it's so fun.
Permadeath stuff.
But like I think some of the stuff that like some games that do it bad, like Terraria. I know Terraria has a hard code move where like your character dies for like ever. And
yeah, permadeath.
Yeah. But
it doesn't delete your world though, does it?
it doesn't delete your world, but that's kind of
Yeah, that's what Minecraft
But,
does.
like,
It deletes
it-
your world. That's even harsher.
yeah.
Yeah.
It is harder to die in Minecraft just because it's less combat based.
But with Terraria, that's kind of like a shitty thing because like when you like build up so much shit, like you have to like spend like half an hour or to an hour just to like find all your shit. And I think even when you die, your shit gets deleted.
Yeah.
Your armor and all that you have on you goes out.
Yeah, because I think that's really what changes depending on the difficulty in that game is
Shouldn't have died, bitch.
you either drop like half your money, all of your stuff, or you die and all your stuff is deleted. And you have to make a new character. And your character is your stuff. You don't level up or anything. Well, I guess you
Right.
level up your health,
But the thing is, like, that's really bad because then, like, also it being like a finite world game, like, eventually you're gonna run out of shit. Too.
Yeah.
Well, yeah,
And
of course.
then, and especially with that, where's my thought? Shit. Especially with Terraria, like, you're gonna die a lot. Because, like, I think for, like, the most part of it, like, I've died 30 times by a fucking boulder hitting me.
I mean, I played it mostly co-op and we died a lot. It's just, I mean, you fight a lot of fucking shit and it's 2D. So it's really combat focused.
It's really hard to fucking dodge things.
Okay, kind of a side note to this.
Yeah.
But what do you guys? This is just kind of a nitpick for me, but what do you guys think about difficulty being added to the game because the game's poorly built? Like it's like in Alien Colonial Marines. The only hard part of that game is like trying not to like glitch out of the fucking world.
Not, like, so the Sonic 06 difficulty?
Yeah, like Sonic 06.
It's awful and trash.
Yeah, like
I mean, that's not, I don't even,
It doesn't even fix
I don't
the
even,
game,
I don't
though.
even quantify that as difficulty, honestly.
It
Like,
doesn't fix the
the
game.
fact that your
it just-
game doesn't work, making the game hard is not, you know what I mean?
It just makes the game
Right.
worse.
I mean, I guess there is an approach that says, well, that's what the game is, so, like, that's how you take it as a whole and you work against it, but
yeah.
I guess if the game is fun to play and you use glitches to your advantage, which lots of speedrunners do, that's great.
Like
And that's fun.
beating Ganon as a kid in
Yeah.
Ocarina.
Yeah, the 17-minute speedrun, that's hype.
Yeah, like
The blindfold speedrun.
jeez.
Yeah.
That's nuts.
Yeah.
I know there's like places in I think like Dark Souls 3 and stuff where you can just like walk on the air and get to bosses and shit. It's like what?
Yeah. I never watched that many Dark Souls and stuff speedruns. I kind of know like the general idea of the Black Knight Halberd speedrun from the first game, but yeah, I don't think that's. I mean,
I'm not that into speedruns though. I don't know.
I like to watch them.
They're interesting to just not like.
I've never been into a game enough to want to get that good at it.
Right.
But I do enjoy watching them, especially for games I like. Like
To me, I think this just takes the fun out of it though. Like there's a like becoming good at it. Like good at it just makes it like worse.
I don't know, not for them. That's the game is not the challenge anymore. It is overcoming the game as fast as possible.
Against another person.
Yeah, against the community of people who are maybe sharing all their strats. People are coming up with new stuff. Like, I haven't watched any of them because I'm trying to kind of avoid spoilers about it, but, like, I know the Breath of the Wild speedruns. The game came out, it was like an hour and a half. And then 2 days later was an hour. And now it's like 50 minutes, 49 minutes, 48 minutes. People are coming up with new strats and optimizing, and it's a fun process.
It's a very interesting, yeah. Just to see like the time, the record.
And
time
there's lots of, like, Super Mario 64 I've always liked to watch speedruns of.
I like it because it's like I like the idea that the gaming community as a whole comes together and it's like, let's just play this game as fast as we fucking can.
Yeah.
And like, what is it? GDCQ or
AGDQ and SGDQ.
Yeah. Yeah, like, and they do like charity events and stuff. Yep. I think it's
it's fun. I love SGDQ. It's probably my favorite gaming event.
And it's like it's a cool thing to watch these. I think my favorite thing though is to watch speedrun fails though. just the look of disappointment on these people's faces.
There's a video. I don't know the runner's name. I don't even think he posted it, but it's him speedrunning a Goldeneye level. And he, like, rants for 15 minutes about how speedrunners are the worst degenerate pieces of human garbage on the planet. It's fucking hilarious. He's like, we work hundreds of hours on games we hate so we can get 1 second better so we can get that little orgasm. that little feeling of like feeling like you're good at something for like 1 week
It's a drug.
until somebody beats your time, and then you got to do it again.
Yep. Yeah.
But no, I appreciate. I mean, any game that's built around speedrunning, I have a more respect for.
I respect speedrunners.
Yeah.
Better than me. That's fucking way better.
And
Like, 'cause if you can do that, go right ahead. That's cool. But damn, I can't do
I mean,
it.
I've always been a big fan of all these different types of challenge runs and stuff. So, like, fucking people who do Metroid like the lowest percent possible, or like Luigi's Mansion, don't get any money.
That's the hardest.
Or
fucking
low
one ever.
levels. Low levels are fun. Like, I know some people when Pokemon Black and White came out, if you had a pirated version of the game, like it auto-equipped an item on all your Pokemon where they couldn't get an experience, and people would hack their game so that their DES thought it was pirated so they could play it like that. Like, that's the type of thing that should be in the game. You know what I mean? Stuff
yeah,
like that.
that's hype. That's cool.
I know.
Like, yeah, I like the stuff, the way that game developers mess with pirates too, because that's always kind of fun. Like, especially like messing with like facial mods and stuff, or like bosses that can't be beat.
The best two are Spyro 3, where like it makes it so you can't collect like a important plot coupon for whatever I think they're like eggs or something in that game.
Right.
Like, you can't get it, so you can get to like the end of the game. And then Earthbound, where if you get to the final boss and it deletes all of your save files. Fucking savage.
Like, it's hype, bruh.
Does the difficulty?
I guess we can get
It's
to
shit.
It is awful. It is the worst thing I've ever come across.
No. Okay, so if you play on normal, it's like you're bored to death because you're like smacking
You're smacking shit.
smacking monsters with your paper sword or whatever.
Death claws are dying from the fact that you're just like farting at them.
And then you turn it up, and then all that happens is they get like stupid amounts of fucking health. Like, especially in Fallout 3. Like, I played a very hard like unarmed run. I had a death claw hand, so I was a sneaky guy, so I'd sneak up on somebody, sneak, smack him with my fucking death claw hand. Literally like 3 or 4 minutes per enemy. It was fucking awful. And the shit scales to your level too in a lot of them.
gross.
Yeah, like Oblivion, Skyrim, 3, and 4 stuff scales to your level.
I think Oblivion's the worst one that I've ever played because it's like, because I feel like a tank. I feel like I'm turning slowly and like going through people.
Once you hit level 20, fucking there's bandits with fucking like Draugr armor and shit.
It's like, why? I mean, you can
Fucking
just
ebony bows. Yeah. I don't like level scaling in general most of the time.
I don't think it's too bad.
I like it when like it's more like area based, like levels are area
Yes.
based.
Right,
I like that.
area base is good.
Yeah.
Don't scale it the whole fucking
Don't
place.
scale it to me,
But, like-
always. Scale, yeah, like, because...
Or the options that allow you to do it, because I'm trying to remember what game did that.
I like what Borderlands does with it, where they've really discouraged grinding to where after you're a certain level of an area, you just start getting 2 or 3 XP, and it's like, move on.
Mhm.
So I think that's a very good way to do it.
If games where everything just scales to your level, generally are...
It's not too fun, because then
Because what happens is maybe at the beginning it's really easy, and then you get to a point where it's kind of hard, but then you hit like level 15, 20, and it gets really easy, and then it fucking skyrockets because everything is suddenly using the best gear in the game.
Yeah.
Or there's examples like in Skyrim where fucking dragons are like little fucking stuffed animals. You shoot them like with 4 bows and they fucking die.
Right.
4 bows, 4 arrows.
But like you get the certain different kinds of dragons though.
Man, they're all bitches. Even fucking Alduin's a bitch.
I
Yeah.
don't know.
So
Dragons in Skyrim were a fucking pain in the ass, because like every time I try to like go into something, it'd be like, you can't save, you can't, and like it'd be a fucking dragon. I'm like, I'm just trying to fast travel, please. Leave me alone.
Yeah, fast travel with an enemy around.
I know, it fucking sucks dick.
Yeah.
So I gotta shoot the bitch down. I gotta like fucking hit it a bunch of times.
Fallout 4, they didn't have it at first. Well, they had survival mode, but it was really just a hard difficulty. But then
Yeah.
they changed survival mode to be kind of like hardcore mode in New Vegas, but like more extreme. So you can only save in a bed. Enemies are stronger. Bullets have weight. You have to eat. You have to sleep. You have to drink. You take more rad damage. enemies are stronger, your damage is buffed a little bit,
Right.
stuff like that. But then the main problem becomes, it's a really good difficulty mode, and I'd like it overall. But the main problem is that you can't save wherever you want, and you're also playing a fucking Bethesda game.
Right.
If you played a Bethesda game, you know the fucking problem. It's going to crash once an hour,
Yeah.
at least. It's going to crash all the time.
Yep.
And
And
Hey, what's up with that?
And you're gonna,
it's a fucking. It was a thing.
I mean, I don't want to be the Bethesda cast, but fucking Christ.
It's Bethesda. Even
There's
with
no,
the
I mean,
fucking-
there's no excuse. They're poor at optimizing and bug testing their games.
Even fucking New Vegas was kind of shitty because like I remember like going over to a friend's house and like I couldn't get into the casino place because the game crashed. And, like I'm trying to find this hat. I'm like I don't think that really works. That's not just like wait. And like the whole video is of like trying to find this hat that'll fix the bug that crashes your game when you enter in fucking the goddamn the casino.
Wait a sec. You have to find a hat to fix the crash?
Yeah, so
What?
like there was a lot of myths going around. Like this hat would like make sure your game didn't fucking crash when you entered the area.
We shouldn't have to have this conversation. Your game should just work.
Yeah.
If your game doesn't, if I can't play your game for like however many hours without it crashing, it's broken. So fix it.
Yeah, I shouldn't sneeze in your game crash.
Well, and like part of it I understand because the games are very open and there's lots of like complex stuff, but they're also using a fucking like they've had the same engine since literally Morrowind.
Right.
It's literally the same fucking engine that powers Fallout 4, powers Morrowind. Obviously, they've edited it around and buffed it, but it's got
problems.
It's got flaws, obviously.
It's got problems.
And it's like they're not willing to change it up or do something different or put more time into whatever. So, and I mean, part of it I understand. A quality assurance team is nothing compared to the millions of people that buy their games the day it comes out.
But
there's some stuff that's so awful that like, you know.
I think Bethesda's become too reliant on people modding their games.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's really what it is now, is because, the engine crashes. Oh, who cares? Joe Schmo
Download the patch mod.
69 will just make a mod for it.
Yep, that's absolutely true. I agree.
And it's ridiculous. Like,
and they went from being like the most open, like supportive of the mod community, and that's kick ass, to like, I mean, they still do, which is great, but
yeah,
at the same time, it's not an excuse.
Yeah,
to not complete your game.
Right. And I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, I think it's great that they support the modding community, but hey, fix your fucking game.
Yeah, I agree.
Like, don't, and like, I shouldn't. Also, another problem with the Bethesda stuff is, like, enemies won't load, or it'll soft crash. Like, it won't, like, half the time it won't hard crash on me. It'll soft crash. Like, I had to read in Skyrim, the quest where you look in the Elder Scroll to learn the Dragon Wrench shout. I had to do that 6 times because it soft crashed every time.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
And
it's
I'm
not
like,
acceptable.
And I'm like, did it crash? Nothing's happening. So I restarted it 6 fucking times.
Joseph Anderson, he's a YouTube guy. He's made 2 videos about Fallout 4. One of them was like an hour and a half, and the other one was like 2.5 hours. And like he coined the term Bethesda's bug, and basically what it is it's when you're playing a Bethesda game and you're not sure if what is happening is a feature of the game, is a bug of the game, or something that should be a feature is missing because the game is bugging him.
Right.
He's like, so like the fucking dog will be doing something weird, or like certain quest dialogue won't trigger, or something like that, or like people will act like they've told you stuff. He's like, well, here we go, it's Bethesda's bug. I don't know, I have any idea what the fuck.
It's like, I don't understand what's going on.
Yeah.
That's kind of a problem with sometimes EA too. Is like, they just don't care. They know people are gonna pay $60 for their fucking game, and then, oh hey EA, it crashes. Fuck you. You already have your money. Buy the DLC.
Yeah, that's its whole Ubisoft and fucking EA are on their whole category of
buy the DLC. Maybe we'll patch it.
Yeah, like Arkham Origins when that shit came out.
Day one patch. Oh yeah, Tyler loves the day one patch.
Day one patch is fucking awful, dude.
Especially when it's 9 gigs. How you gonna have a 9 gig day one patch?
Like a 4 gig patch just came out for Final Fantasy 15. I saw some guy on V. He was like, "Yep, finally bought Final Fantasy 15. Version 1.07 is 16 gigs." He's like, "I bought the physical version because I didn't want to download gigs and gigs of shit."
Yep. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I agree.
Welcome to the rough stage of games. But I don't want to talk about that because it kind of makes me pissed.
Yeah, but kind of back to the game difficulty. Kind of going back to what I said a long time ago, a few podcasts ago, like with the indie games. This fake difficulty, let's just make the game hard because we want to be like Dark Souls, and it's not fair, and where enemies don't take the proportional damage they should from hits, and it's this is not fair.
I think it's
your game can be hard, don't get me wrong, but make your game fucking fair.
I don't know. With me playing a lot of roguelikes, I don't normally come across the difficulty issue because they just don't throw it in there because you make the game however hard it is, or it's randomly generated, so the game is however hard the generated level is, and that kind of comes across because sometimes I'll come back to Catacomb Kids, which is some guy who's been developing the game by himself for a while, and it's kind of a fun thing, but it's a shitty thing because the combat's really nice and it's really supposed to flow. People if you have a kid that has really likes daggers or is really good at daggers, you start off with the game with an ability to hit down and then attack it twice, and you'll fucking dash and kick the guy. Cool. But you're in this tight corridors, you're I can't do this move because I'll hit the fucking wall and it'll stun me. And I'm that's not fair. If you want to do a fucking combat thing, then don't stick me in this tiny ass corridor.
Or don't add difficulty to your game by making your control scheme fucking stupid. I hate games where it's to aim on a controller, click the stick. Why?
I agree with you, but I do dislike an aspect of modern gaming I dislike is how almost every single modern, especially AAA game, has the exact same control scheme.
Yeah, right.
Because, for example, Metal Gear Solid, let's say. I do, in Metal Gear Solid 4, they adopted, a traditional third-person shooter control scheme.
Right.
And, I mean, it is obviously easier to aim and shoot, but something that they probably didn't think about is now, instead of trying to be stealthy, you're more influenced to go towards combat options.
Right.
And, I mean, if that's something that you want, that's fine. But I don't think that every game should have the same control scheme just for the sake of it, because different control schemes work good for different things. Even the older Resident Evil games where it's so clunky to aim and stuff.
Yeah.
It's sort of a product of its time, but also is that's supposed to discourage you from participating in combat. And it's the same thing in Metal Gear Solid, where you have to go into a first person aiming and you gotta it's very slow and
right. But I mean, just making your control scheme so non-intuitive to where in a game that's hey, go fight stuff. Don't make your control scheme so convoluted that I can't figure it the fuck out.
Yeah,
that's not fun to me. I don't want to have to sit here and keep checking the menu.
The ideal scenario is 20 minutes after you're playing the game, you forget that there's a controller in there.
Right.
That's always a nice feeling.
Yeah.
When it's natural.
That's what it should be.
But a lot of the time, it's not that way. It's what I gotta do? What I gotta jerk off? Do this with my hand and touch my nose? I can't do that. I need to, or some the added difficulty of N64 games, the fucking weird ass dick stick that came out in the middle of the controller. What the fuck?
Well, that's just what you hold. To be honest, you don't even hold the end.
I think what Eric's probably gonna hate me. I find you always say that Kinect is a shitty is a shitty controller, but you think Rise of Nightmares is a fun game. I have a slight problem with that because it's a combat game. It's a horror combat game, and like the shitty thing is like to walk, you have to balance on one foot and like keep your leg kicked out. That's the shittiest thing ever.
All right, let me qualify my statement. It's a good Kinect game, but if they were smart, they would have added controller support for it. Like, don't get me wrong, it works as a Kinect game, and so does Star Wars. Kinect Star Wars. Kinect Star Wars is fucking hype because I can play with a goddamn toy lightsaber in my hand, swinging around like a fucking dork. But you know what? It's fun as fuck to do. But like half the Kinect games, you can't fucking play them.
No,
they don't work. I am 5'3". This Kinect is like, wait, where are you?
I can't find you. I'm in the middle of the screen. I can't find you. I'm right here.
It doesn't make any sense. Stop.
I think even like the majority of the problem, especially like handhelds, I like every time I play Monster Hunter 4, I always have this problem. Like the controls for it are really obtuse. Like it's such a fun game, but like constantly switching between items is a fucking pain because I gotta hold Y while running from this fucking big ass monster. So I'm like my hands are doing some weird gang shit.
Honestly, I think the 3DS is kind of awkward to hold anyway. To be honest.
Well, but see, the thing is though, they could just go with the Dark Souls way to go about it because the 3DS, it has 2 Z buttons, it has the left and right bumper button. It has a D-pad and it has a control stick.
I think your generation that generation.
Oh yeah, I do have a new 3DS.
You have a new generation, mine doesn't have those.
Well, 3DS doesn't have the bottom buttons, the mini ones.
Oh,
mini
that
Z
sucks.
buttons, yeah.
Well, get blown up, get a new 3DS,
Yeah.
fuckers. The thing's nice. The thing is nice to have a C stick and everything.
Yeah, no, I agree. I almost bought one the other day. There's only like one game I want to play for it specifically. So,
but you could go with the Dark Souls approach where you hit Z and L or to hit and ZR and R to block, change items with the D-pad, move with the control stick. I mean, you'd have a little bit of problem with like camera control, but you can do that with the C stick. If you ask me.
as long as it's the 3DS exclusive.
I think
Yeah.
But handhelds are because like you're so limited on the size that putting your controller on the device is really hard. It just ends up fucking you over when it comes to controls. But like that just makes like it's a super fun game, but like it also makes it difficult because like I'm always constantly getting fucking hit by monsters because like B's like I'll either be like going forward and then like change really quickly to hit B, but I'll have my weapon out and then I'll dash straight towards the monster. Like I wanted to dodge the fucking thing.
In the few hours that I played Monster Hunter 4, it ruined my wrists. Like
there's a lot of games that, like even Zelda. Like if I play it too long, I have the XL. I can't imagine playing that on a normal 3DS. I lose my mind.
Dude, your wrists would bleed.
Yeah.
It would just like your bones would crack through your wrists and kill you. Like I don't understand how people, because I really don't think they designed the 3DS with adults in mind.
No. They're
like little kids are gonna play it. Okay.
This is what I said before when I bought one, but besides the game library and the fact that obviously the DS has 2 screens, like the Vita is way like better to hold in your hand. It's got 2 sticks. It's got more buttons. It's got a touchscreen.
Right.
But there's no games.
But I don't want a Vita.
There's Persona 4.
Labyrinth and
that's for the 3DS.
Oh yeah.
Persona 4 Gold and Persona 4 Dancing Online for the Vita.
Oh, I can play Dancing All Night. Yay.
When I played my Vita, when I played it most for, I obviously got Persona 4 Gold, and then I played
He played Borderlands in psychology class.
I did do that. That was way worse than playing it on anything else, though, because like it played at a solid 25 frames.
25 maybe.
Yeah, not solid 25. I misspoke. No, my favorite things to play were like the PS1 games that I had on the PSN store.
Yeah.
Or there's like Binding of Isaac was really fun. So
yeah. So, I mean, you can do an interesting control scheme to like kind of make the game harder, but don't make it so obtuse where it's like, oh, I can't play this game anymore.
So, what do we think about? Do you guys think that overall, like AAA high budget games are getting easier in general?
Yes,
they
definitely
are getting easier because especially it shows to like a lot of the new ones coming out. Like,
it comes down to like the fact that they know that they're the emerging demographic of smaller kids. They get easily frustrated and they go, I don't want to play this game anymore. It's too hard. Where we're kind of the generation that's in the middle between like the super hard like NES games and like we're the generation of the N64 and the GameCube when we were a kid. So and like the PS1 and the Xbox original. So we're kind of like in the middle of like the hard game where they were kind of easier, but they were still fairly hard. And now we're coming into the generations of like, you press X and you do the thing. I think that's why Platinum games are so popular. It's because it goes back to the roots of like, oh my god, this game is so hard.
But the nice thing about Platinum is a lot of them do have a lot of, they still have those options.
Right.
Which I think is the important thing. I don't have a problem with, let's say, I don't know, Uncharted. Uncharted games are piss easy. And I don't have a problem with them being piss easy as long as I can play them on a harder difficulty if I want.
Right.
But the problem is, again, the hard difficulty is literally like you just can get shot 3 times and everything's the same. And they obviously did not, like, they probably didn't even playtest the fucking game on hard, to be honest, because there's lots of scenarios where it's ridiculous to win stuff, you know what I mean? And it's just like, I want options and I want more thought put into the options. That's what I think is important.
What do you think about fighting game hard? To where like the hardest difficulty is basically just the computer reading your inputs.
That's fine with me. I don't mind it, but I just wish that fighting games had a difficulty option that emulated how humans play more.
That's
extremely hard to do, I know.
Yeah. You'd almost need, like, especially like for Street Fighter, if you want a human, like, the human-like experience.
And I know that it's no excuse, but there's some people that, for whatever reason, they can't play online at the moment or whatever.
Right.
Or they don't have a friend to learn the game with.
Right.
But no, I mean, I don't have...
Really, that was my problem as a kid. That's why I'm, like, I love fighting games, but I'm really, really bad at them, because I was an only child, and, like, I had no one to play fighting games with, but I really liked them. Like, I spent, I don't even know, like, I spent how many hours playing Smash Bros. By myself. I love the game, but I'm piss bad at it. Like, I'm super bad at it.
Well, and there's some games where, like, even if you play by yourself in, like, a training or a practice mode, it's not obvious what you should be practicing. Right. It depends on the game. Like, if you're playing Street Fighter, you need to be practicing your fucking links, because that's...
Yeah.
You need to practice your B&Bs, and you need to practice your links. But if you're playing something like Smash Bros. Melee, you need to be practicing all of your techs, because it's a hard game to physically play with your hands.
Right.
Or if you're...
playing KOF, you need to get, that's a very, like, KOF really goes, you need to be accurate with your inputs.
Yeah.
Input accuracy is important in that game.
Yeah.
And then, but I also...
But you don't get a fucking letter when you start the game. You know what I mean? So it's sometimes hard, especially with fighting games, to know if... I mean, this is away from difficulty against the game and more difficulty against other people, which is fine, I think.
Right.
But it is kind of hard to know what you should be practicing depending on the game. You kind of have to, like, immerse yourself in the community.
Right. I also kind of find it difficult to, like, switch between, like, I'm a very big fan of, like, Street Fighter and KOF, which are direct, like, general directional game, like, not directional, like, input, like, quarter circles, like, 360s, 720s, and everything. And then I go to play Smash Bros, and I'm like, I do what now? I press the thing to the side?
For me, Smash Bros is so simple, and it's, like, so different that I
can't wrap my head around it.
When I'm playing Smash Bros, I'm apparently not using the same part of my brain as when I'm playing Street Fighter, at least in terms of the controller.
Right.
And it might just be a practice thing, because I've played that game so much.
Right. But then, like, you go to Mortal Kombat, and it's like, I press the up, down, the left, right, and I do A, B. What? Okay. That's why I liked when Ryu came out for Smash 4, because I was like, ooh, I can do the directions now. Cool, I can do quarter circles, and it'd be better for me in the long run to do it. It made me happy. And then I stopped playing Smash 4. Because because none of my friends want to play it anymore.
I play it. Whatever.
Well, what
I
made
like
me...
Smash because like it's a good fighting game for me because like I'm not good at the directional inputs and stuff like that because like I'll either overshoot like a quarter circle or I'll end up fucking it up by like accidentally doing like down and quarter circle and then accidentally going back.
I throw out fucking Shoryukens instead of Hadouken still. And I'm fairly decent. And I mean, there's a lot of games that are a lot easier for practicing. Like, I don't know if BlazBlue or Guilty Gear has it, but I know Persona has a mode where like it's not even a mode. If you mash light attack, you will do like a very basic like 6 or 7 hit combo.
Right.
So, and each character has a single one. So if you're good at the game, it's obvious. Like you can see when it's coming out and you can deal with it. So it's not overpowered. But at the same time, if you are newer at the game, then it kind of eases. You can be doing damage and maybe learning how to maneuver your character or about your special moves or how to deal with this character.
Right.
And certain games also just have like the easier inputs, like Skullgirls and Marvel have a lot easier combos and
are very lax in their input.
Yeah. The difficulty of those games is not input, it's something different where
it's character management.
Yeah. And in Street Fighter, it's not input necessarily. It's kind of input, but it's combo knowledge a lot.
Street Fighter's in the middle in there, where depending on what game you're talking about is where their accuracy. They're like, in Third Strike, you need to be almost dead on like a KOF game. Yeah. And then like KOF, they're very strict. You need to do a perfect quarter circle to get like a bird knuckle or something. Yeah. But then in 4 they changed it up to where like they're back to like the more lax like it's
all about those fucking 1-frame links.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Again, Capcom bring back my girl Sakura for 5.
For games being too easy, I just think there needs to be more options and there needs to be better thought out options.
Yeah.
That's what I think because I hesitate to even call it a niche at this point of people who really like their games to be challenging.
Yeah, I think it's large enough to not be a niche. I think it's a size. I mean, I think especially the Dark Souls games prove that there's a large market for that. Yeah.
I mean, there's also other things that keep people playing those games besides the difficulty, but
I think
the difficulty honestly is a big part of the appeal.
I think it's really like game journalists, like from people like from Polygon and them who complain, this game's too hard, I'm not going to review it. Because I think it was like Polygon wouldn't review Neo because it was too hard.
Yeah.
It's like, really, it's too hard, I can't play it.
I know.
Get good.
Fucking the DuckTales remaster. Some people bumped the scores down due to fucking...
it's too hard.
I think... God, who was I watching a video of? It might have been the fucking Angry Video Game Nerd. I don't remember. I was watching a video of somebody, and they were talking about how a game got point deduction because it was too hard. And it's like he's like, okay, well, that's fine, but do you also kick off points when a game is too easy? See, a lot of people don't.
I would take off points for a game being too easy.
I don't even like scores anyway, but that's besides the point.
Scores are something.
I don't like scores.
I like scores enough to where it's like, oh, these people gave this game like an 8. Maybe
I like other if I evaluate a game, I would not give it a score. If I evaluate something, I don't like to score.
Scores are too ambiguous.
I don't mind scores, I guess. I think people put too much weight on scores.
Okay.
I mean, it is useful in like a Metacritic situation where you aggregate all these scores and it kind of gives you a general idea of critical and fan consensus.
Right.
But
I don't know. It's just like
scores just don't really like.
I don't finish a game. I'm like, wow, that was a 9 out of 10.
Yeah.
That's never a thought I've had in my life.
I'm just like that. It could use some improvement, but fuck, it was really good.
He won't do it to games, but he does it to albums.
I don't even do it to albums.
I don't know. I was like...
Sometimes Logan will ask me, he'll be like, what would you give this album? Or what would you give this food? I'm like, I guess. I mean, I have... Basically how it goes is I have albums that are like my favorites. And then I have albums that I like. And there's maybe albums that aren't my favorites, but I like them for a certain scenario. Like a certain game, I like a certain album. Or a certain homework, I like, it's...
I think a lot of the time we, as a group, go by the Cold Stone approach of like it, love it, and gotta have it. I think that's what it goes by.
Yeah.
And it's like, if we don't like it, we're just like, it was bad, I didn't like it.
Don't like it. Don't like it, love it, gotta have it.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. That's our scoring system.
I also like Famitsu. They do, like, there's 4 people, and they all review it out of 10, and then they aggregate it. Makes sense to me. That's better than because, well, here's the problem with with
Scores.
We're off on a whole fucking tangent now, but here's the problem with your normal gaming journalism review is somebody plays whatever game, Super Mario 64, let's say.
Okay.
Maybe this person hates platformers, so they give they acknowledge it's a good game, but they hate platformers. They give it fucking 7.9.
Right.
Okay. Well, now the score that this website gives is based on this person's opinion that may not necessarily be reflective of the game.
Right.
And a lot of people, like I remember when Metal Gear Solid 5 came out, a lot of people played 40 hours, got to the twist, and they never got that deep into the gameplay, and they're like, well, it's a pretty good game. 9 out of 10, whatever. But then someone like Super Bunny Hop, when he makes a video, he's like, I played this game this many hours on this difficulty, I got this percentage, this is my opinion. And it's very useful when a reviewer or whoever is willing to be honest with, like, I played this game on easy, I played it for 15 hours, I wasn't the hugest fan of it, here's my opinion.
Right.
Because I can see that and say, well, if you played this game that I already like, or a series I already like, and I know I'm going to like it at least a little bit, and I just want your opinion, then I don't give a shit about your opinion, probably.
Right.
While on the other hand, someone like Super Bunny Hop is a huge Metal Gear fan. He has like these 40-minute videos for all of them where he goes talks about the symbolism or whatever and all the gameplay and shit. So obviously, if he's played this game 100% of it, put in 150 hours, and his review is more negative, I take his word with a little more weight because because he is willing to give me that, and I know this about him, so I think his opinion holds more weight in that context.
That's understandable.
That's my spiel about reviews.
It's about ethics in game journalism.
Yeah. No, but I don't. I just think regarding difficulty, you need the person reviewing it probably needs to have some experience with the genre or maybe with the series, and they need to be willing to, if they gotta play a hard game, like understand they're busy and shit, you know, and maybe they have all these games to review and they don't want to play the hard one. But you need to acknowledge that. You need to say, when I wrote this, blah, 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 my mom died, I have to review a game tomorrow, and I'm a little bitch, so I'm going to play it on easy. And this is my opinion of it based on that.
Right.
And I don't think it's fair to say, if you play Dark Souls and you play, let's say you were reviewing Dark Souls and you played halfway through the game, you beat Ornstein and Smell, you're like, wow, I won, but this game was really hard and I used magic the whole time. 6 out of 10. You know what I mean? It's just like...
Woo. Okay.
Yeah. So...
Well, I think, like the default experience, like, especially with, like, the videos you've shown me with the Dark Souls videos where they review the first part of the game, that they won't look up anything, they won't use summons, they'll do, like, a default, like, night run, and then go through the game and then play it over again to get, like, a different experience with all the other classes. And, like, that's really nice, like, because then it's a default thing, they're, like, going into it unbiased, or they don't know anything extra.
Yeah.
And then they get what a normal person would go into it without knowing anything. And that's really nice because then it's like, then it's not filtered by the fact that they're like, I fucking hate hack and slash games or beat 'em up games, so I don't really like this that much. But like, when it comes down to that, like, if you're gonna bias if you're gonna like opinionate the game that you're reviewing, it kind of goes out the window because then people don't get a good description of the game, or they don't like, I'm not sure if I really like this because it was over exaggerated by someone who liked it that much, or it was underrated by someone who doesn't really like that.
Yeah, and that's why I think you just need to, when you're in a discussion about whatever, it doesn't have to be a game, then you need to kind of explain. Like if someone's reviewing a movie by a director and they're like, I've never seen any of this director's movies, I don't know anything about the topic the movie's about, here's my opinion, then I take their opinion differently than someone who's like, I love this director. I think all of his movies are really good. This one is also good. Here's what I think. I think it's just important to be open in the discussion.
Okay, kind of to get back to our original.
Yep.
What do you normally do for difficulty in games? You like, let's just say you sit down to a game and they have easy, hard, easy, normal, hard. What do you normally do?
I split the difference at normal. I've always played.
Sorry, I'll let you go.
I've mostly always played games on normal. That's normally how I do it. If it's normal, I get the experience that I want, and it's not tilted by like how difficult it is, because I don't know what hard is. It could be like enemies do different attacks or something like that.
It depends on the game.
Okay.
Because there's some games where, like I said, a lot of AAA games, let's say Uncharted. Obviously, normal is what they built the game around, and if I'm playing a game of that type, then I'm obviously going to play that difficulty. That's what I would do. But if I'm playing maybe like a platinum game type game, like an action game or something, I'm much more likely to go to hard, just because I know what I'm getting into, and I know it's already going to be difficult, so I'm willing to throw myself in the deep end because I have a good idea. The hard is going to be well balanced, at least to some degree, and it's going to be fun either way because the gameplay is probably going to be fun.
Yeah.
So I'm willing to take that plunge. I think it just depends on the scenario, because a lot of games are designed around normal, and hard is kind of like a harder difficulty is kind of an afterthought.
Right.
Which is kind of dangerous to just play
hard. Normally, like you said, depending on what game it is. But if it's like a more of an action game, I go with easy first, just to kind of get a handle of the controls. Like the first time I play through it, I'm playing through Momodora. I'm playing on easy because I just want to get used to the controls, and then I'll probably play normal next time I play through it, because I'm probably gonna play it again because I think it's a good game. Buy Momodora.
Yeah. So Isaac's more likely to lean towards normal. You're more likely to lean towards easy, and I'm more likely to lean towards hard. Well, we got a nice balance going on.
Well, yeah. Well, like I also like coming back to games and games that have like a replayability. I do like the fact that like with Nier, I'll probably go back through it again and play it on like a harder difficulty.
Or even if like my experience was when I got towards the end of the game. When I got towards the end of the game, it was pretty easy. So, I mean, if you find that same thing, you might want to bump it up to hard. That's something where I like the.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do also like replaying games on a harder difficulty later on as well. I agree.
Just like that. Like, if you don't like the game and you're not gonna like if you played it on normal or easy and you're not gonna play it because like either the gameplay was shit or like you didn't really like it because it was really easy, like bumping it up is probably gonna make it a little difficult and you're not gonna like it in general. That's normally why I play roguelikes, because they don't really force like normal or hard or anything easily like that. Because then with that, that's still my same problem. Like, I don't know what I'm gonna get with normal. Like, I don't know what I'm gonna get with hard. It's just it's a flavor that they decide to either just turn up stats, or like enemies drop something different, or they just tend to be like different enemies, and like the levels are higher up, so they're more difficult. But like with I normally play a lot of times. I play Caves of Cud, and it's a dungeon crawler, and so like you pick the difficulty. Like if you want your character to have like 0 to none health, then you're gonna get your ass kicked like left and right.
Are you done with that statement, or?
Yeah.
Okay. What do you think about games with no difficulty, like switch to like turn, but different paths are harder? Like, say you start at point A, and point B is like, this is an easier route, and then point B is kind of a more medium, and point C is hard, and like the rewards are different, and then like also further down the path is harder or easier depending on what path you take, and like maybe endings are different, because I know of like some games that are like that, where I think like Shadow the Hedgehog is kind of like that, where like some paths are a bit harder.
That's the only game I can think of.
I was gonna. I don't know if this is exactly what you're describing, but True Crime Streets of LA. It's like a GTA like kind of
Clone?
game, but you play as a cop, and it kind of goes batshit insane at some points. Like there's one part where it's got like some missions are fist fighting, some missions are like driving, some missions are like cover shooting, and some missions are like sneaking around. There's one where you sneak into like this Asian bar and you like go into the basement, and it's like a volcano dungeon with fire dragons, and you're like, what the fuck is happening in this game?
That sounds
But-
hype.
But in that game, there's like 10 chapters, and off of like let's say chapter like 3, 6, and 9, there's like alternate endings that have their own unique content, and each ending is kind of easier to get than the last, and the hardest one is hard as shit to get. Is
Right.
that kind of what you're talking about?
Yeah,
in some
kind
way?
of. A little bit.
I seemed like you were talking more about like levels, kind of.
Yeah.
Like you're in a level and you can go different ways.
Yeah.
But when you said that, that's what I thought of as
Yeah.
that game.
Yeah.
But that's kind of one of those true endings. You have to like do the hardest stuff to get to.
Yeah.
Type of thing.
I know. Recently playing Vampire the Masquerade.
I
You
I
know,
guess
like
that-
we're thinking of paths,
Uh,
like
that game's a game that's hard because it's broken.
it's not that bad.
It's
When
not that
you get the
bad.
patch.
especially with paths. What I think of like either you can like beat the shit out of people or you can like talk to people and like calm them down. I think like I just did like the first mission where you talk to the guy and he's like, they stole some drug from me. Go get it. And you
You
go
have,
to the,
like, all
you go
these
to the
different
frat
options.
house. Yeah. And you're like, he's like, what are you doing here? And you're like, get the fuck out of my way and let me in.
You
And
can
you're
like scare him, sneak kill him. You can assault him head on. You can like blow up the whole house.
Also, that game gets harder depending on what type of vampire you want to be too.
yes.
Like the Nosferatu dudes can only travel in the sewers,
Yep.
but they can eat rats for extra blood and shit.
Yeah, well, because if you're another clan and you eat a rat, then it's like you get less blood
Yeah.
because who the fuck wants to eat a dirty ass rat? The
That's
Nosferatus, and I haven't done a Nosferatu run yet, but it's insane. Like to think about how different it would be.
you
'cause
can't be seen by people at
Yeah,
all.
you cannot get seen by people, and there's people fucking everywhere. The game is just like there's people. I mean, you're in like a fucking big ass city. There's
And
people.
every scene by person is a masquerade. Is a
You
masquerade.
can break the masquerade like 3 times.
Before like it gets super hard because then you get vampire hunters, you get other people from different clans like fucking attacking you. I've already broken a masquerade in that game, and I'm fucking scared and terrified because I fed on some guy and I didn't. And also the game's a little bit difficult because like I don't know like what the range of people or how they look because like I fed a guy and he's like way off into the corner like around nobody, and there was some chick like a mile away, and I fed on him, and I got
And she saw you. She's
Yeah.
like, "What the fuck?"
she's like, ew, she started
Yeah.
running, and I'm like, I saw her, I was like, I'm tempted to kill this bitch, but I'll get another one.
Okay, I know what you're talking about, kind of.
And then sometimes, like, with games like that and stealth, Dishonored kind of does a really good job with stealth difficulty, because then,
So
like,
Deus Ex.
and then,
Kind
because
of
you
that
can,
same style.
Yeah.
because then you can get power-ups that make you, like, better to, like, be stealthy, and you really just kind of, like, you can option yourself to be more stealthy or just, like, a killing machine, or, like, you can make sure, like, you know where people are looking by getting a power-up.
Yeah.
But, like, in Masquerade, you're just kind of fucked on, like, how you just have to guess.
What do you think about endings being different based on your play style? Kind of a side topic to this, especially because of like Dishonor, where if you don't kill anybody, Emily is her name, right?
Yeah, Emily's her name.
If you don't kill anybody in the game, she like learns mercy in this and other things. She becomes like a kind, merciful ruler.
I didn't.
But like the ending of that game's kind of retconned by the second game, because like no matter what you do, she becomes like a murderous. Like she becomes like Corvo. So basically, like it doesn't matter what you did in the first game.
Yeah.
But if you kill people, like, and also like gameplay decisions that you make, like the more people you kill, the more rats end up in the city.
More weepers, the more the sick the city gets as you
Yeah.
kill people. I like that. It's a nice thing. I didn't know that going halfway through the game because like I killed some people and
I
then
think
just
it's like a fun surprise a lot of the time.
yeah. If you don't know and you're getting into the game and you don't know like your options, like and the game, I think the newer game like actually spoils it. Like if you kill more people, weepers will show and all that, and you're like that's not fun to know.
No, I think, I agree. I like how the first game does it. I've never finished that game. I've played a little bit of it. I want to get around to it, but I do enjoy where stuff like doesn't tell you that maybe necessarily that it's keeping track of your decisions and the kind of stuff you do, but it does have an effect later on.
Like, I think when I first played the game, like, violence level, like, there was a violence level, like, it'd be, like, low, or the lowest, or, like, high, and, like, the higher it was, like, you got the third ending, and then, like, the medium part was the middle ending, and the lowest part is the first ending, and I think I got, like, I killed enough people just to get to the highest point where, like, spoilers if you didn't play this game, but it is a really old game. Like, she's in this fucking, like, huge-ass tower. It's, like, full of these fucking people. Like, you
Kill
can't,
all the people.
you literally can't stealth in that part. Like, you are forced to, like, fucking barge your way in. Like, it keeps you to that fact of, like, you're a murderous fucking shadow bitch. You better keep on this path, boy.
I like when that kind of reminded me of Metal Gear Solid, which reminded me that when you beat Metal Gear Solid games, you get a rank.
Yeah.
And which reminded me that in Devil May Cry, a lot of the time, especially if you play on a normal, the game is not that hard, but it influences you to try harder with the style meter, which is something that's pretty fucking awesome. Because just by the addition of the style meter and like it telling you how stylish you are, it radically changes how you play the game. Because you're always trying to do the coolest shit possible, and like try all these new combos and mess with all the different weapons at different times and all that shit. So that's another aspect where maybe it doesn't affect the difficulty, but it affects how you play the game.
Yeah.
Just by a small addition like that.
Right.
Honestly, my opinion is, like, if you have, like, I don't know about endings, and, like, with the difficulty of endings, like, if you play on hard, you get a different one. I don't know if that's a good incentive, but I like when, like, if you pick a hard difficulty, like, you get a good incentive for it. Like, you get either, like, nice weapons, if it's, like, an RPG, like, with Diablo, if you play on harder difficulties, you get, like, rarer loot and shit like that. I think that's a good part. Like, it mixes up the game a little bit.
Yeah, like I was talking about before in Kingdom Hearts 2, when it gives you a damage boost and all these bonus abilities. Like, they obviously are incentivizing you. Like, the game will be harder, but we're giving you more options. And we're rewarding you also for willing to play this difficulty, which is something I like a lot.
Yep. I think it's a good idea.
Shows that they put a little bit more thought into it than turning it out.
Yeah. I think that's probably for the best.
So
that's kind of why I don't, like, I try not to play a whole lot of games that aren't roguelikes, because then you're like pick this difficulty, and the thing that pisses me off the most sometimes, I've recently played or try to get into Baldur's Gate 2, but like with these like adaptations of like the tabletop game Dragons and Dungeons, like core rules, you roll, it's like it's not a boost, you roll whatever it would be rolled, and like people can die permanently, and you're like, okay, that's a nice thing, but like get baby mode, where you can literally just play it for the story. Like, I'm not here to play the game for the story, for fuck's sake. I'm here to play it for how it is and how it was made. There's no point to it. And then, like, there's really hard mode where, like, -4 on your rolls and you do absolute shit damage. You're like, what?
Never crit.
Like, why is that even a thing?
I like it where it's like, tell me a story. I like some action. Fuck me in the ass.
Fuck me, daddy.
I do dislike when a lot of older RPGs are an example of this, just because they were based on D&D, and now a lot of people that are into those games might not necessarily know in depth the systems of D&D, or even something like, I guess both of the examples I'm giving are based on tabletop games, where Vampire the Masquerade, where you have all these skills that highly influence your different playstyles, but it doesn't really tell you a lot about what you should pick. Kind of have to go out of your way, which kind of sucks. Some people aren't going to do it. I've kind of learned, like, if I'm starting up a new RPG and I hit character create and I got this big ass character screen, I'm going to be like, Vampire the Masquerade character building tips or character guides, so I can just kind of get an idea. And they'll say, well, this skill's really good. Don't level this past this because you're wasting your points, or
right.
Which I dislike having to do it. I mean, I'm glad I can do it to overcome that barrier. But I think a little bit more explanation of some of the those complex stats would help.
Well, I feel like when it comes to like that and character creation, and you get stats for like, especially Masquerade, like, and it says like, don't waste your points on this. Well, I'm like, what's the point of the character build if I can't put as much, like, especially System Shock, like a lot of people were like saying like, if you put your many of these points and you're like, you're only wasting your points for half this game. So
if you download like there's a like primary mod pack for System Shock 2 specifically that like really changes some of the stats around and makes the game more balanced. But I do see what you're saying, where like if you might look it up and say, well, only use this because this is obviously the best option, which kind of sucks.
yeah,
But I also don't want to like accidentally like in Vampire it's a special case because at the end like you basically have to use gun combat like or you're fucked, and the game does not tell you that. You just have to know that.
So you can't just DO it. You can't use
You
the
can
spacer
deal it, but it will
stingy
be
eyes?
way harder.
Wait, you can
because-
actually shoot lasers from your eyes?
No, I
No,
don't think
you
so.
get- you
you
get
do
a
get
lot
like
of powers.
you do get vampire-y like powers,
but like it's really hard because like their
you're
system
fighting like entire SWAT teams by the end, so
Yeah.
you basically need guns.
like
you almost just sold me on this game, but like, I was like, wait, you can do Space Ripper Stingy
you can
Eyes?
suck the blood out, like you can use Blood Strike, and Blood Strike's like the first weapon, like worst like blood magic you get, and like you can fucking like look
You
at
can
someone.
bloodbend in this game?
Yes, you're a
Bro,
vampire.
that's hype.
This game is fucking hype, dude. You gotta
It's
play it
fuck-
sometime.
It's fucking fun.
It's got one of the best like stories and like choice systems in any RPG.
There's a lot of girls with titties,
It's hype.
some nice titties.
Yeah.
But
I want that bitch to suck my blood. Shit.
but it
Mondo, it's time to donate your blood. Hand it over.
oh god. But in terms of difficulty, yeah, the last part of I'm kind of sad that the last part of the game was like fuck your choice system. Get
I mean,
out of here.
and that's a special case just because of like development circumstances or whatever.
But like, I'm kind of the person who probably plays the most indie games here. I don't know, but like, Neo Scavenger was like a hex based game where like you wake up and like a cryogenic freezer and you're like, what year is it? I don't fucking remember anything, and all you get is like is a name tag of your name. But like before, like you can like choose your traits and all that shit. But like there's like a million traits and like literally 6 like not traits but fucking
Perks,
not
sets.
opposite of perks that like debuffs, and you get like shitty ones like myopia where like you can't see for more than like 2 hex or whatever, and that's shitty. But there's like 3.
Put on
There's
your
like
glasses, nerd.
there's like 3. There's like 3. Literally like 6, and then a million traits. But like those millions of traits mean nothing because like the game, like half the game you can't get with like the right traits. You have to get the right traits, and it's like a shitty like, why give me all these traits when like only like 3 of them is really gonna do me any good? And like the game is super hard because you're like, because it's a turn based, like select this attack and you do this, and then it's like you tripped, you fell on your face. I don't know how much damage you got, but whatever.
Yeah, I just dislike when the most difficult part of the game is like figuring out how the fuck should I build my character, because there's some. Wasteland 2 was bad for this too. Like, I'm very excited to get more into the game, and I have made my team. But I basically watched this guy's 20-minute video where he went through each character. He's like, well, make this guy do this because you're going to want this skill for this part of the game. But there's an NPC who has this skill, so you don't need to worry about that skill. So get this. And it's like, there's like 15 skills or so many fucking skills. I don't know.
Wasteland 2, oh my god. I try to get into that game so many fucking times.
I mean, it is really fun to play once you get through that. But it just has that old RPG aspect of like, very obtuse stat systems, and like, give me some hints, give me some fucking like,
to me it feels more
what is
like
going to be good.
It feels more of like a puzzle, like, alright, this is the puzzle, this is the great mystery, solve it.
Well, it's a
with this
puzzle.
character's
It's a
streak.
puzzle, but you don't know what the fucking picture is.
Yeah,
So you gotta like
exactly.
try to stick them all together and hope that you got it right. But then you get to the final boss, and it turns out that you didn't.
I went to immediately like to the plant center, and like that's probably like the hardest like choice you can make is like go to the plant center where like these pea pods fucking explode and destroy your people. But like I had absolutely no ammo, and like every time like I
What
got
is
into a
this
fight-
fucking game?
It's hard Wasteland. It's hard Fallout 1 basically, and you get your crew, but like everyone's like mentally handicapped and like I don't know what to do, and they get fucked by enemies like left and right, and you're like, Jesus Christ, I wish I had a guide in this fucking game that wasn't $60, and someone tries to explain it, and they're like, just do this, put points in the lockpicking, and you can fucking lockpick the machines.
Yeah, it is ridiculous. It took me hours to make a team.
And then I got to the fucking thing, and like everything is like lockpicked and shit like that. So I'm like, okay, I'll use my lockpick character, and I did it, and the fucking door blew up on me when I like. And the thing, like, you don't even know. Like, I went into
Critical failure.
and then I tried to open up the door and like jiggle it, and it fucking exploded in my face. And I'm like, what the fuck? I didn't even know it was trapped. It didn't even look trapped. And then I do it on another gore, and the same fucking thing happens. I'm like, what the fuck is this? I lockpick it, it's like critical failure. And I'm like, okay, I'll reload my save again. And I'm like, critical success. I'm like, fuck! I have like 7 points in lockpicking. How the fuck am I critically failing this shit?
It's a roll of the dice.
Yeah.
A flip of the coin.
Honestly, the Fallout stat system, especially how it works in Fallout 1 and 2, is pretty good at avoiding that for the most part. Because there's only 7 stats. They're pretty clear on what, like, skills they affect. And when you pump points into them, you have the skill screen over on the side. And the fucking points change as you look at them. So, I mean, you can do it well and still have that type of gameplay. I just think you need to put some effort into making sure that the player understands what they're doing without having to buy the book, or read the novel, or watch the YouTube video.
20-minute YouTube video of some guy fumbling around with his character on a screen. Like,
this dude had like in the description. There's a fucking spreadsheet. It is gigantic spreadsheet about like. Well, this character uses this, but if you're going to do this, make sure you do this. Make sure this character has this. If not, this character needs this. This is the character archetypes you should use, but don't use this one if you have that one. And I'm like, fucking Christ. I just want to play an RPG game.
That's the worst thing ever, because like when I get into a really good RPG, like fucking when like Baldur's Gate, like I don't know how well I'm fucking doing, because Baldur's Gates 1 and 2 are like 2 different ones, because then like. When I get into Baldur's Gate 1 and I'm like, my character has like 20 constitution, and then I play the physical game and the guy's got like 6 health. I'm like, that's not fucking 20 constitution. That's 2. That's 2
I
points.
think constitution is defense.
No, it's health.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know. I've never gotten that far.
And then Baldur's Gate, like I can have like 7 points in constitution in Baldur's Gates 2, and like I'll get to the physical game of like all my characters there, and they'll have like 100 health, and I'm like, what the fuck is this?
That's weird. Are you playing one of them like is the remastered version, and the other one's not?
They're both. I think the PC ones on Steam are the remastered ones where
That's
they
weird.
have all the DLC.
Because I know like if you play Baldur's Gate 1, then it changes Baldur's Gate 2. That's a BioWare thing.
And then
They've always done it, so.
And then I'll be like, am I playing the right game? Do I fucking know what I'm doing? And then like some of the times like. I don't know if I'm doing well or I'm like hitting these people really well. It's really hard. It's probably an old game, and like people who are like
probably an old game. It is an old game.
Well, it's probably an old game syndrome where like I'm not understanding it because like it's an old game and I wasn't there.
That's
at the time when
That's a game honestly where you gotta
go with the punches.
Yeah.
And then some 40-year-old guy will be like, oh, you're fucking.
Because I don't play D&D. I don't know what D&D stats are going to make me a good character. And that game runs it straight on D&D, I think.
Yeah, it's dice rolls and
ew.
So
I like dice rolls. They're super fun.
They're not. I don't like chance in my game. I don't. That's not fun to me. It's not fun.
Like the more you put into stat, you get like a +3. So like if you were to roll a +1, you still get like a 4. And you're fucking fine. It corrects everything.
Yeah.
So like,
it makes your stats matter.
That's
but I see your point.
With like Caves of Cud, you're like you get the whole world is like generated differently, and like you get a character and you throw them out, and like you can like you have mental powers and stuff like that. It's like a Wasteland for the first Wasteland, and you do like you wield guns and all that, and like you can be a gunslinger and shit like that, and it's really fun. But and then the difficulty lies in like how it's like generated, because sometimes like you'll wander along like, here's this abandoned fort. Do you want to explore it? Yeah. And then a fucking turret shoots you right in the goddamn head, and you're dead.
Fuck you.
It's just like what most like roguelike games and stuff like that. It just makes it really hard because like with randomly generated stuff, it just makes the game harder because you don't know what you're gonna get. You're gonna get a fucking box that shoots you right in the fucking head, or you're gonna get a box that like gives you a golden ticket to Aslan.
Well, and then sometimes you have like Binding of Isaac syndrome, where once you get like the D6 for Isaac, so you're decently good at the game. The enemies aren't posing a challenge, so it's the rolls and the randomness of the dungeons and what bosses you fight that determine the difficulty, and then you can affect that with your D6, so you can just roll until you get the item you want. And you fucking cream the game. Game's dead.
Dead.
So, okay. Are we trying to sum up our thoughts overall? I think we can.
Yeah. Basically,
options are good.
Yeah.
Play whatever you want, but I think options should be prevalent. They should be well thought out, and not all the time, but Dark Souls has a good system where they integrate it into the game and it works well, but maybe make the player more aware of that, I think.
Yeah.
Because some people are turned off because they don't know about that. Don't build it into making your controls not make any sense.
Yeah.
Don't build it into you have no idea how the fuck to make your character.
Yep.
Don't build it into turning up a dial or turning down a dial.
Yeah, it's no fun.
No, not at all. Try to change up AI patterns for enemies if you can, because that's the most...
Don't scale your fucking levels to the player. That's awful.
Yep.
That's the
Almost
worst.
always awful.
It's a boner kill.
Yes. And give incentives and bonuses.
For playing the game on the hard version, or hard difficulty.
But don't necessarily lock people out of content just because maybe they're not as good at the game.
Right.
Because there are people with maybe a disability, or they just want to play through the story. Even if you have to make it like a cheat or something. Like, I know, like, the older Warcraft games and StarCraft games, like, there's lots of people who, they're like, I don't want to be good at RTSs, I don't want to play this game, but I like the story, so let me skip the levels or cheat through the levels.
Right.
And that's fine, if that's an option.
Yeah.
That doesn't really bother me, so.
Ooh, RTS is a difficult thing. I really... It's something, ooh, god damn, do I hate it so much. I've played Company of Heroes a lot of times as an RTS. It's such a fucking, like, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing half the time. And I play it as, like, an original RTS. Like, I set up, like, a base, get a good base going, and then I send some guys out. And then, like, the other enemy team, like, 2 seconds in the game has, like, a Panzer rolling through the fucking thing, and it destroys. I'm like, what the fuck would they get a Panzer? I don't have enough points to get a Panzer. Are you fucking
Where's
kidding
the Panzer from? Keep that in mind whenever designing difficulty for your game.
Where the Panzer's
Game difficulty should come from mechanics and shit and design, and not from dials and scales. Unless I mean, if it's a JRPG, obviously, that's part of the game. But
it really almost
try to avoid it.
Almost
if
like
possible.
even like art, like just RPGs in general.
I think it like
RPGs build difficulty into the customization of your character and how your character interacts with the enemies, and not necessarily turning the enemies up.
I think if you're gonna have an open world RPG, just stick like if you're like, all right, here like you can go straight to the end of the game area, but like none of the cutscenes for the game happens. Like most of the time, like Fallout, you can like explore the whole area, or like have like level 30 enemies at that area. So like it's like don't come here, you're gonna get fucked.
And I mean, Morrowind and New Vegas do that well, and that is avoiding the level scaling problem. That's an organic way to tell your player where they should be going. And some people will bitch like, oh, I can't run right to New Vegas.
Especially like,
well, you can if you're good enough, but you're not supposed to, and the story makes less sense. So you do have the option to do it, but they're organically building the difficulty into the game to enhance the story and the world.
It's just another Dark Souls thing.
Yeah.
Because if you go to the catacombs, you get fucked.
Build the difficulty into the game and the world and have it make sense, and have it influence how the player behaves.
Yeah. I think that about sums up
just
what we're trying to say.
Have physical things that affect the character and how you play, and not dials or not some option on the screen. Is basically how it is.
All right.
Physical things are better than optional things on the screen.
Right.
All right. I'm Tyler.
I was Erik.
I'm Isaac.
See you guys next week.
Bye.
Praise the sun.